someone asked that I make a video about all of the different stuff I have going on my monitors. And so here we go. This is my main monitor. I'm just going to go through them real quick, and then I'll zoom in on each one and explain what I'm using for. So this is my renko chart over here. I've got this set to 20. The box size is 20, so it's 20 points for every chart, and I have asset stack on it so that I can see where we are based on asset stack. Are we above all of them? Are we in between them? You know, stuff like that. And then I also have real flow below, set to a daily setting. So I have the daily candle setting on this, and it just gives me, you know, like an overall picture, like where are we with structure? Are we above the zero? Are we above the daily? Are we above like the asset stacks and stuff like that? That's what I'm looking for on that. And then let's look at the next chart. There we go. Clear. Yep. Then I just have my VWAP chart right here, and just using VWAP. I have an annual, monthly, and weekly. I believe I have a weekly on here, and that's just the middle. And then I have my daily VWAP with all my standard deviations, and then I have surge at the bottom. And this is on a 5-minute chart, and I'm looking for pullbacks on surge that are aligning with any of these, you know, VWAP zones here, or lines, or deviations really. And if we're getting a nice decent pullback in the general direction that I want to go on the VWAP, that, you know, it's kind of leading me towards, okay, maybe this is an entry area, and I might actually end up taking that. So, and then we have our VIX, which I have the 4-hour zone on, and I'm really paying attention to that a lot. Where are we pushing up? Are we, you know, going down, etc. So, and then there's that. I can always just scroll that out and see what it's doing and see any end caps or whatever. I really like to play off those end caps. And then on the right over here, I have a NQ a chart and a ES chart. So I'm looking at the 30-minute chart, and I'm comparing ES high and lows, if there's any divergences. I have surge on here, and then I have a MACD, which is just a different variation of a MACD, just kind of see is momentum bullish or bearish. And that's it for the main chart. I'll go to the next two charts, or two screens that I'm using, and then I'll go into individual charts and kind of giving more of a detailed of like what I'm actually doing with it. So this is my top left monitor. And so over here I have TradingView. This is my TPO chart along with the daily BIOS. This is what actually powers TradeShield. And then in the middle, which is NinjaTrader, I've got my key levels chart up here, and I've also got and this is on the 15-minute time frame, and I've got a tick based surge right here that's using 1,000 tick. And then I have I'm sorry, that's edge pulse. I don't know what I was thinking. And then surge down here with a 15-minute surge, and that kind of gives me like a good idea. Are we flipping bullish during US session or not, or the open and stuff like that. So if we're hitting the 0.5 and returning, then we're probably going bullish, or the opposite, you know what I mean? Or we're getting pullbacks if it doesn't push down. Also, you got your lines here. These are from the other time frames or assets, and they're above the zero. So we're pretty much bullish. This is just a big pullback, and that helps me determine which direction we're going. On the right, I have the FLB dashboard, and basically it's building an overnight range, a special kind of range that I use, and then it plots take profits after the first 30 minutes of the of US session. Well, it could happen before then. It really is, it's an adaptive smart type thing, and it's shows you what permissions and like what trades to take and confluences, and it also has a full dashboard mode, like a control panel mode, that you can turn on. This is just an execution smaller mode, and I'll show more of that once we get into each one individually. And then moving on to the next one. All right, so this is actually my execution chart. This is where I'm actually entering trades. And what I've got going on here is a couple of things. I've got the First Light Beacon daily zone on here. Then I have the middle line for Asia, London, and US session right there. I have trend shift on it. And then I have real flow right here. And these are what I'm using for executions. The other ones are more of analysis of like what's going on with the market. And then this is where I'm actually executing and trying to take profit at. And then like the trade I got in today was right here. I entered in right here, the rejection off that, and then I entered in, added in right here, and then took profit right here. So this is my execution chart. Now we'll get into the individual things that I'm actually using and take it from there. All right, so this is the renko chart that I'm using, and I'm using asset stack with it, and then real flow. And then the only thing on asset stack I have turned on are the fill lines and the absorption detection, bullish or bearish absorption detection, and that's it. And I really like and it's set to 20 block, so we have box size is 20, and I use this to just see like where are we against the other assets in a quick look, right? So right here was pretty much the bullish breakout. We had bullish absorption. We broke over YM and ES, because that's what this is. There's ES and YM on here, and then this is gray is New York, and this is the daily candle. You can use the New York zone as well instead of daily, so whatever you prefer. And then at the same time, we're rejecting the daily zone down here on real flow, right? So that's giving you a really good confluence that, hey, price is shoving up. And you could have literally just bought this block and targeted this right here and scalped this if you wanted to. Or you can just, hold or whatever. But that's all I'm doing with this. And I'm using it just to find a, context, like where are we? Are we above everything? Are we below everything? And renko is really good at showing you what price is doing if you don't need the precise price, right? So like this right here is building a projection up, but right now we're kind of bullish, right? And if we're wicking off of these assets down here, the asset stacks or the leader or the ladder zones, probably looking like a good chance we're going to push up since the overall trend is bullish. So that's how I'm using the renko. And then my asset stack, I'm just fill lines and bullish absorption. I have everything else turned off. And then I have the daily zone on the on real flow down here at the bottom. So this is my key level chart. I'm actually using NinjaTrader's version for this. And then I have the large order dots on here. I want to see where orders are being, placed on the screen. Typically, if I'm putting a volume profile, this is where I'm putting it. And then we have our edge pulse here using tick data, using 100 or 1,000 ticks. That's why I use NinjaTrader for this one, because I want to see the tick data, which is also showing me divergences. See this right here? We have a higher low, lower low, or lower low, and then this one has a higher low. So that's just giving me information. And then I'm using surge down here, and I'm looking for those big pullbacks into the 5, the 1, or the -5 and the -1, or the +5 or +1 right here, and looking for those to return and come back up. And that's kind of giving me an idea of what's going on. But the thing about that is you have to wait for the time to pass to get that data. Like this 10 o'clock a.m. right here, finally you're getting this data. So you've got to be patient, right? And the settings that I'm using on these things are just basic settings. I don't have anything else on. Where is it? Key levels. Yeah, just normal stuff. Don't have anything really changed. The tick data one, here we go. Just change the tick, put 1,000 in there, turn on divergences, etc. surge, you know, nothing's changed. It's all defaulted on purpose. And that is all I'm using to start. And I'm using it on a 15-minute time frame. One really big note about this is the initial balance that's drawn out here and right here. And then this is our 8 to 9 range. Right here, the yellow. So that's your 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. range. Then you've got your initial balance right here in the blue dash. We've got our OC levels in here, and that is that's the first 30 minutes, the open and close, not the high and low. You'll notice that a lot of times we do things with the open and close on a daily basis. Today was a just a failed low, or whatever you want to call it, and breakout, right? So, or false breakdown. And the trend lines here, these are based on time, not actual trend. And a lot of times if we're rotational, it'll actually bounce from here to here. Like it'll go from here, or here, click, go from here to here to here to here to here to here. And you can trade from that. So that's why that's in there. And you can turn them on or off, whatever you want on any of these stuff on key levels here. And then, yeah, so that's what this chart is primarily used for. All right, so this is my TPO chart. And then I have a daily bias on it, which is going to be a daily zone with the orb, which is going to be included in the first light beacon. That an update is coming, but you basically get your orb and then your daily zone. And then I have the TPO set, and the settings that I'm using for the TPO is a 5-minute block size, 68% value. And a lot of times I'll expand the blocks and then zoom in and look, and I can see kind of like what's really going on and how is it reacting to our own zones here. And you can see all that too, just like this, but sometimes it helps to expand them and you can actually view out. They're just on letters when I zoom in so that I can see the actual price line here. So that's just basically a line chart on 5 minutes. And what I'm looking for when I use this is I'm looking for like what's our bias. Obviously bullish, because we're above the daily zone here and it's green, so we know that we should be looking for longs. And then I'm looking for US. This is US session right here. So let me go. So US session is this TPO here. This is London, and then this is Asia. So we got Asia, right? And then we got London, and then we have US, right? And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a sweep. I'm looking for US to come in and sweep the previous session. So right here, right? And if you look, this was where we were at, and it actually came down here and took out the value of London. And you can also zoom in and see that the actual price swept the so if I turn, you can turn the letters and blocks off and just have the thing in value and all that stuff. And if you look, price after US session, so here's 930 right here where this line is, came and swept the value of London, right? And there it is right there. So we came and swept the value of London. But if you take it even farther, you'll see that this right here was swept right here, right? See how that was swept? That tells me that that value has been swept, and I need to be looking for the longs. And that's when it's okay. The shorting should probably be over, and we should probably get into longs now, right? And as you can tell, price shoved up, came down, bounced around a little bit, played with this low, and then started pushing again. And you can see that we broke up through ladder level and then hit this one, broke up, hit that one, and then came down, retested, and now we're probably going to push up to the thing again. We'll see. But I'm done trading. I've already got what I wanted, and that's how I use the TPO. I'm looking for sweeps of value of the previous session. Okay, and it doesn't always happen. So you don't always get the trade. So that's just part of the game. And but if you look here, This came up and swept, like the previous day came up and swept the value here, the lines that right there. Turn off the blocks and letters so you can see it. So we had a sweep of the value at US session when we're supposed to be bearish. So it swept up, manipulated bearish or bullish, and then came down, retested the zone, and then dropped. And what's your trade? Well, if you didn't get in here, you trade from here to here, ladder, or if you got waited for this, ladder to ladder, right? And that's your trade. So that's how I use the TPO charts. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it works for me. So that's what I do. And let's move on to the next chart. All right, so here is my VWAP. I just have daily VWAP with annual and monthly on here. And I'm using the standard deviations 1 and 2. And then I have, and it's just on a 5-minute chart. So, I mean, it's just using VWAP just to kind of see where we are with VWAP, because, you know, a lot of places like to trade on off of VWAPs. So I look at that, and I'm using correlation with everything else. And then I'm really looking for on surge on the 5-minute, have we hit a 0, a -5 or -1 or a 0.5 or negative of 1 there, to kind of like really narrow in pullbacks and just see where we are, as far as, you know, like are we high in the auction, or are we low? And that's what I'm using that for. And then I'm looking at these two lines here. Are they above the 0, and is our histogram green, right? And then any spotting any type of divergences as well is a nice thing. That's what these R's are for, regular divergences. And that's that. And then for as far as VIX goes, I'm just using the 4-hour zone on FLB, and right here. And then we have in the institutional ladder, we have a VIX setting, and looking at that. And I don't really use the institutional ladder all that much. I think I have it spaced too far apart. I've been waiting and just testing and looking at that. But I am using the zones here as rejection points to see where price is going to reverse possibly. And then I am looking at the end caps. Now, if you look right here where price actually came down and respected and pushed up, this is where, you know, price started going up again. And then came down here, respected and pushed up, price was going up again. And I have this inverted. Okay, so I have the bearish colors green, and then I have I have it inverted. So the bullish is red and bearish is green, and then I have the actual chart inverted. So you can do that on NinjaTrader or on TradingView, so that when the VIX is going up, price is going up, because normally when the VIX goes up, price goes down, right? So I inverted it, and just to make it easier on the eyes, just to see, hey, is this agreeing? And that's that for this chart here. The FLB day, this hasn't been released yet. This is I've been building it, and it does quite a few things. But it's mainly a dashboard for your charts. I mean, honestly, it's a big dashboard. Let me change over to yeah, there we go. So there's institutional view, and yeah, we can make that bigger. So institutional, we want wide. Yeah, there it is. And we don't want it that wide because we're on a smaller monitor. So, and that's going to give me a bunch of information, and it's just a lot of information that's going on that actually operates in real time. And as we're going through, it actually has a transition period where it tries to detect like what are we transitioning to, and things like that. And then it scores everything and tells you, you know, risk on or type of entry to get into. And you can come in here and put it on compact mode, or execution mode is what I had it on. And it will just give you a little thing down here that kind of condenses all of that into this one little spot. And see how it says transitions, stable environments. We're pretty much over with throughout the day, because we've already hit a TP4 right here, as you can see. And then this is the range that's created each day, and you can tell that it's pretty damn accurate. And then yesterday dumped down, hit TP4. The day before we broke down TP4, so it's pretty accurate on what it's doing, but just like anything, it's not 100% foolproof. And it just helps me determine how far are we actually going to push in the day. Not I use it for direction too, but not as much. It's really how far can I take the move, right? As you can tell, like this came down here and then literally turned around at the 4. So it did right here too. So that's kind of like how to measure how far we're actually going to take profit. And that is in itself is really valuable, because a lot of people hold on too long and then it breaks down, and then they don't get anything, or they don't hold on enough and it runs on without them, right? And this is set on a 10-minute candle. So let's move on to the next one now. So this is a 30-minute chart. This is basically ES and NQ, ES on the right, NQ on the left. And I'm looking a lot to see, do we have any divergences in price? Is one doing something the other's not? And then I'm looking at, just the 30-minute price action. Like, what does the candle look like? Kind of helps decide if moves are worth it or not. Then we have surge down here. I'm sorry, edge pulse. And I'm looking to see, are we above or below the 0 line? That's a lot of the stuff that we got going on is above or below. And what's the color, right? Is it green for runs, or is it red for going bearish? And are we chopping out or not, basically? And then if we're really close to the 0 line, then we know that means that we're pretty much chopping out. And the farther we break away, the stronger the imbalance gets. Now, and then the bottom one is just it's a weird version of a MACD, and it's using Heikin-Ashi, and that's this chart, and that's all of the charts that I have, and kind of the little breakdown in each one. So there you have it, and that's kind of what I have all over my screens. I used to have a bunch of different zones and end caps and stuff like that, and I don't anymore. I'm really more focused on acid stack and real flow, and what is going on with price there, right? Like, what is this showing? And then when we get into actual executions, I'm looking for the double tap. Whereas this is the midnight zone and this is the daily zone, and are we breaking above and rejecting, or are we coming down and rejecting, or are we below and coming up and rejecting? And are we above the 0 lines, and is everything aligned? And that's kind of what I'm looking for, and that's when I'm entering trades. And you'll notice that, like this right here, I made a video earlier about it. This is the entry, the first entry I took today, is we're above, but we come down below, and this is signifying a sweep, right? But we reject the 0 line while we reject the daily zone at the same time. So I get into this trade, but this is the midnight chart. And then the daily one, we break up and we actually reject at the same time right here. So this is kind of like where we're adding into the trade and then taking profit out the ladder. Anyways, that is my chart setups. Hope this helps you out.